Evil Dead of Evil Ed. Zolang ik de klassiekers ken, kies ik eens voor wat anders. Ook wel grappig, maar is niet bekend. Dat maakt niet uit, we zullen zien of het grappig is. Wat is dit? Dat is wel toepasselijk. Yeah, Evil Ed. It's a Swedish movie released in 1997. And how many Swedish movies do you know? I only know two. Evil Ed and the other one is Thriller, A Cruel Picture. It was one of the movies that inspired Tarantino while working on Kill Bill. But that's a whole different story. Well, by looking at the cover where it says it's a no-brainer, well, you'd guess it's gonna be a funny movie, or at least tries to be a funny movie. And yeah, that puts it in one of my favorite categories, the horror comedy, or splatter comedy, or black comedy horror, whatever you call it. Just horror movies with a wink. And well, it's because of that I think it's a pity that the movie doesn't live up to its full potential. I'll try to explain this based on the positive and negative aspects, just like a real review. Well, first the good parts, and I'll start with the plot. This is Ed. No, Evil Ed. Just Edward Thor Swenson. He works as a film editor on arthouse kind of movies. A real gentleman, just doing his job until one day...
Edward, I've been asked to lend you to another department. You will get your instructions from...
And this department deals with a whole different kind of movies.
So, this is the splatter and gore department?
Yes, it is. But right now I'd rather call it the loose limbs department.
Ed is going to edit the film series Loose Limbs. He has to cut out the gory scenes in order for the series to be sold to certain European countries. And because it's so crowded at work, he can quietly work in a small house his boss offers him. Sadly, Loose Limbs is a fictional series. It would be really cool if you could see more of it. Ed is very good at explaining what sort of movies they are.
In this film, there's a scene where a woman gets raped by a beaver and then shot in the head with a bazooka.
Well, unfortunately, we don't get to see that scene, but imagine changing your work from editing this...
Jag flyttar hem till Årgäng.
into editing this. Yeah, that'll drive you crazy. And in Ed's case, really crazy. And eventually, it's totally insane. And then you'll get weird visions of some kind of demon who tells you that you'll have to release all people from their own evil.
You know what's shown on the screen is a mere reflection of someone's ungodly, sick mind. You have to remove these minds or else nothing is won.
Well, that sounds exciting.
They must be corrected or die.
Nothing wrong with that, but Ed, well, he just went a little insane and everything is evil in his eyes. And then things do go wrong. And it starts when Ed's boss comes to visit him. Ooh, now we have ourselves an evil Ed. Well, the situation gets out of hand. Ed is sent to the psychiatric ward. There the situation gets even more out of hand. Then the army arrives and it gets even further out of hand. And eventually, it literally gets out of hand. I think it's a pretty original, or at least cool story. And I always enjoyed the movie within a movie concept. And also the idea that Ed slowly losing his mind, it creates funny situations, which makes some scenes a bit fancy, like a surreal, and well, it just works pretty good in this movie. What more? It's also nice that this movie is very tongue-in-cheek. Sometimes it even looks like a horror movie parody. There are lots of references to horror classics. I like that. So let's see how many I can find. We'll start at Ed's working place. There are posters from The Fly, Evil Dead 2, and Return of the Living Dead. And Evil Dead 2 can also be seen in the office of Ed's boss, and is later on referenced rather obviously.
Groovy.
Almost the same. Here you can see a poster from Dracula and Critters. And there's also a critter-like creature in the refrigerator. Well, according to Ed it is, because it's... let's go on. Well, the title is an obvious parody on The Evil Dead. And what was the name of Ed's boss again?
I'm Sam Campbell.
Oh, I see, as in Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. Well, some other clear references are this one.
I'm coming to get you, Barbara.
From the zombie classic Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
And this one.
Nick, stop it! Who do you think you are? Hannibal the cannibal?
Yeah. And every movie featuring a psycho killer where the victim hides in the closet could be seen as a reference to the granddaddy of slashers, Halloween. And finally, I thought this was a rather nice reference to the Reanimator movies. Though it could be a coincidence, but later on in the film you'll hear this. What? Dr. West? Oh, as in...
It's Mr. West. Herbert West.
Oh well. So yeah, and well, further, the music is great, it adds to the comical feeling of the movie, and with an opening scene like this, how could you possibly go wrong?
You're fired!
But still, on some points the movie just misses the mark, which brings us to the bad parts. Well, the biggest problem I have with this movie is just that it can be a little bit boring, and that's mostly due to the fact that some scenes just aren't exciting enough, as well as the bad acting and dubbing. The story, well, it's quite simple. I could have explained it more briefly earlier on in this review. There simply just doesn't really happen that much. Some scenes take too long and don't really add anything to the movie. And there is this pretty long scene in which two guys, they break into Ed's working place, and well, it had nothing to do with the main story, and it seems to be happening completely at random. It's hard to explain, but some scenes they just feel a little bit empty. Okay, on to the acting. I've seen a lot of bad acting in my days, and well, normally it's no problem, but in the case of Evil Ed, it kinda is, because it really has a negative impact on the whole movie. And because it's a Swedish production, it's completely dubbed into English, and this just doesn't work very well here.
Sure did. Great movie. Great movie?
Come to think of it, the acting isn't even that bad. I mean, even the casting is done very good. It's really mostly the bad dubbing. And because of that, a lot of one-liners, they just don't really live up to their full potential.
This is dying time.
Well, I think that's just a shame. Please don't get me wrong, I mean, I really like this movie, it's just that it could have been even better, and well, that's just a pity. It's hard to explain what exactly the movie is lacking. You'll just have to see for yourself. So and well, of course I'd recommend this movie, but just don't expect The Evil Dead.